You're looking at pictures of Kenyans dancing in the street from earlier today. Barack Obama's father, of course, was from Kenya, left the family, left his son when he was just 2 years old, but still, Barack Obama's ancestry, still a tremendous source of pride in Kenya. Needless to say, this president-elect will be facing tremendous challenges at home and abroad. We're joined now by our chief foreign affairs correspondent, Lara Logan, who is in Washington tonight. Oh, you're in New York. You're right behind me, Lara. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here. I thought, gee, that set looks very familiar. And Wyatt Andrews. Wyatt, you're in Washington, right?
I'm in Washington,
Katie. Okay,
Katie.
good. Thank you very much. Lara, let me start with you. Obviously, internationally, this is an extremely challenging time for Barack Obama. We're dealing with two wars, a possible Iran that's developing nuclear capabilities, things stagnant when it comes to negotiations with North Korea. What do you see as some of the toughest things that he'll have to deal with?
Well, you're absolutely right mentioning those two wars right up front, Katie, because this is a situation now where Barack Obama is facing two very difficult wars that are already in the long stretch with really no sign of an end to them. And Barack Obama made it very clear early on in the campaign that dealing with Iraq, ending the war in Iraq, was going to be one of his main priorities. That may have slipped off the agenda in the polls, and people here are overtaken by the economic crisis, but it remains very much one of the most critical issues, particularly with the fate of U.S. forces in Iraq right now in the balance with the status of forces agreement still not agreed to with the Iraqi government. And certainly, what's interesting about this is Barack Obama's support amongst the U.S. military, particularly amongst the young soldiers, because the military is typically, if you can generalize about it, they're typically quite Republican. But there is a huge amount of support for Barack Obama. There are a lot of soldiers in the mountains of Afghanistan and in the deserts of Iraq, as Barack Obama refers to himself, who are looking very much to see what he is going to do about both of these wars. And one particularly significant thing that Barack Obama has said just recently, about a week and a half ago, to the General David Petraeus, the commander of Central Command. Many of these issues, these problems obviously are in his region, but not all of them. And Barack Obama made that point to General Petraeus. He said he would be looking to deal with these issues as on a worldwide basis, a global basis, that he would be looking at how all the factors play into them. And General Petraeus said he would welcome that because at least half his problems in Iraq came from the outside, not in Iraq itself. So that's one issue. But the most critical issue is greed. Everybody agrees right now is Afghanistan, Pakistan, and you can't separate those two. This is really seen in a way as one war now. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. It also has the most known terrorist, possibly Osama bin Laden himself, on their territory. They are a government that is failing at the moment. They're failing economically. They're struggling politically. And they are tied very much to the fate of Afghanistan, which obviously Barack Obama has said that he will commit more troops. It's not known whether that is even going to be close to enough to resolving the issues there. And of course, dealing with a nuclear Iran, as you point out, Iran rapidly gaining their nuclear capabilities. And Barack Obama has said there that he's willing to sit down and negotiate with the Iranians, obviously at a time of the U.S.'s choosing and when it's convenient with them. But the big difference here being that he intends to use negotiations not as a reward, but as a tool of his foreign policy. And that obviously very critical. But a resurgent and resentful Russia, North Korea, as you point out, this is definitely not an easy time for an American president. However, Barack Obama is seen as the one man from the United States who can reform the image of the U.S. abroad. There is no doubt that the world has been braced, waiting for this moment, and there is probably as much excitement in many capitals abroad about Barack Obama's presidency as there is in the United States.
Right, and certainly a shift in his willingness to negotiate with some countries, as you mentioned, Iran, and other cases such as Syria, which may pave the way to improve relationships between the United States and those countries. That remains to be seen, and certainly a controversial approach in some quarters.